Hi, this is Go for Growth. On the 24th of February 2025, the Procurement Act 2023 regulations for public sector procurement came into force. This is a short tutorial video to show you how to register for the central digital platform and how to complete the supplier information system. First, you'll need to be at this URL, find-tender.service.gov.uk/search. And the first thing to note is if you simply want to search for an opportunity, you can do so without registering to the central digital platform using the search functionality. However, if you do want to go on to bid for something, then you will need to register to the central digital platform. You will need a gov.uk one login to sign into this service. If you haven't already got one, you can create one. What we'll do is click through to sign in with one login, and I'll show you the screen that next comes up. You'll have an option at this point to either create your gov.uk one login or to simply sign in. What I'll do is I'll create one to show you how that works. It is fairly intuitive, but I'll go through it. If you click create your login, what you'll need to do is enter an email address. And click continue. In clicking continue, you will be agreeing to the terms and conditions and the privacy statement. So if you do want to read either of those, there were links for you to click through. What will happen is a code will be sent to that email address that you used a moment ago, and it will be a 6-digit code, which you now need to use to log in. And I'll click continue. You'll need to create a password, which you can do so here. And click continue. You can also choose then how to get your security codes. I do have the Authenticator app for my smartphone, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to choose a text message. If you click through, and I'm not sure what an Authenticator app is, it will let you know what the definition of that is. And I'll click continue. We'll then put a mobile number in. If you don't have a UK mobile number, you can tick the box there. And what we'll do then is we'll be text a code, and we'll enter that 6-digit code into this system also. So each code will be unique and can only be used once. We've now created our gov.uk one login, and we can continue to use the rest of the service. Once we get here, it will take us to my notices. We can update our email preferences, our save searches. If we've got any notices that we're watching, they'll show them here. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we need to click on the home button. And if we scroll down, we'll see here supplier information. We can register as a supplier after we've signed in, and we can complete our supplier information to be able to bid for contracts. So I'll click on register as a supplier. It will ask us to agree to the privacy notice. We can open it in a new tab and have a read if we haven't done that already. Please do make sure that you're happy with the privacy notice as before, as with the terms and conditions, but we're asked now to tick to say we are happy with them. I have read them through, and before we click continue. We'll then add our first name and our last name, and we'll click continue. We want to register as an organisation. And it will first ask us whether we're a buyer or supplier, and in this case we are a supplier. We're an organisation or a sole trader who searches for tenders and submits bids to supply goods, works, services or utilities, and I'll click continue. It will ask us then if our organisation has a company's house number. And if we do, we would click yes and then enter the company number. If not, if we're a sole trader or we're not registered, for example, we will click no and press continue. If we click no, it will ask us if we are any of these particular types of organisation, and if we're not, we'll click non-apply and we'll then click continue. We'll add our business name here, and for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to add a business and click continue. and we'll use the email that we used before if it's the same, and we'll click continue. We'll need to add the address, so I'm just going to add some information in here to click continue. So it will show us then that we've added all our information, and if we need to change anything, we can go back in and change it. So if we wanted to change the business name, we could do so, the email address and the registered address, and then we can click save. So if you've chosen a business name that already exists, it will ask you to change it. And so if there are two businesses with the same name, there will need to be a differentiator between those two businesses, and we'll click save. So it will take us to our account. We have a business here, a business 2 that we have registered. What we now need to do is click on view, and that will take us to completing the supplier information system. So if we click on there, we can see the types of information that we're going to need. So if we are registered at Companies House, we will need the date that we were registered. We'll need to know from our certificate of incorporation what legislation our company is regulated by, usually the Companies Act of 2006. If we have any connected persons or persons of significant control, they would be listed at Companies House, so we will need those. If we're VAT registered, we'll need our VAT registration number. We will also, if we have them, need 2 years accounts. So there is quite a bit of information that we can get ready, or we can gather as we go through the process. So we'll start with basic information. It will ask us what best describes your organisation as a supplier. Are you an organisation? So that includes registered companies that have employees, limited companies, partnerships, public limited companies, charities, financial mutuals, etc. Or are you an individual? So you're running your own business. For example, you might be a sole trader. So for the purposes of this, we'll click organisation and click continue. And in there, it pulls our registered address through. If we have a different postal address, we can add it here. If we haven't, we would simply say no. And it will pull the registered address through. If we're VAT registered, we would say yes and then add our VAT registration number. If we're not VAT registered, we would simply say no and save and continue. If we have a website, we would say yes and put our website address in here. If we haven't, we would simply say no and save and continue. The email address is pulled through automatically. So we next need to choose what type of organisation best describes us. So it's asking whether we are a small or medium-sized enterprise, the definition of which is in here. So is the organisation got less than 250 staff, a turnover of 44 million or less, and a balance sheet total of 38 million or less? If so, click there. If you're a non-governmental organisation that's value-driven, so your purpose-led organisation which principally reinvests its surpluses to further social, environmental or cultural objectives, such as a social enterprise, for example, you can click that box. And it also asks if you're a supported employment provider, and it gives you a definition of what that is, or a public service mutual, it gives you again a definition. Or if none of the above apply, you can simply tick none apply. And whichever it is, you press save and exit. And in the final part of this, it will ask you, is your organisation registered on Companies House? If it is, you would say yes. And then you would answer if it's a limited company, a limited liability partnership, or a limited partnership, or something other. And whichever it is, you would tick and save and continue. It will then, as I mentioned, ask you to enter the law under which your organisation is registered. That will say it on your certificate of incorporation. So it may be the Companies Act of 2006. You would enter that, and your date of incorporation. Ooh. And you would save and exit. And you've completed the basic information in there. So once you've done all of that, you can return to Account Home, and it will show that that's now completed. So we'll move on to connected persons. It does give you a definition. So if you click on here, it will open in a new tab what a person of significant control is in an organisation. If you are registered at Companies House, If you go into the business registration, you will be able to choose the people tab, and in there's a persons with significant control tab, and all the details of who that is will be in there. So if we click continue, the first thing we'll be answering is your organisation influenced or controlled by another person or company, yes or no? If it's no, simply click no and continue, and it will put in there that there are no connected persons. If you do, however, have connected persons, you would click yes. It would then ask you if you're registered with Companies House, and it already acknowledges that it's asked that before, but it does want a reconfirmation. We'll click yes. It will then ask who the connected person is, whether that's an organisation, an individual, or a trustee or trust. And then select the category which best describes the connected person. Is it a person with significant control, a director or individual with the same responsibilities, or any other individual with significant influence or control? Once you get here, it will ask you for the details of who those people are or person is with significant control. So you'll be entering details in there, including first name, last name, date of birth and nationality. And so if you have persons of significant control, connected people, you must enter all those details in there. If you haven't, we would be simply selecting no here. In qualifications, the system is asking you if you want to add any relevant qualifications. So and this might include your professional qualifications. It might also include any certifications that your organisation has got, such as ISO certifications, Cyber Essentials accreditations, that kind of thing. So if you want to add any, you would click yes, and you would answer what enter what the qualification is. So I'm going to enter Cyber Essentials, for example. Who was the awarding body of the qualification or accreditation, and when did you get it? And continue. So if you're happy with that, you would click save, and then it will ask you if you want to add any further qualifications. If you have no qualifications at all, simply in there, you would say, no, you have no qualifications, and it will take you back, and it will pop not applicable in there, but it will also show it as completed. In trade assurances, similarly, depending on what sector you're in, there may be trade assurances that cover what you do, your goods and services that you are supplying to the public sector. So if you're in food and catering, food provision, for example, red tractor assurance might be applicable, traceability, animal welfare, environmental protection, etc. If you have any trade assurances that you wish to enter, you would click yes and continue. Again, it will ask you who the awarding body is. If you have a reference number, you would put your trade assurance reference number in there. If you don't know it, you would click no. And again, it will ask you what the date was that the trade assurance was awarded. It gives you the opportunity to summarise what you've done, and if that's all right and accurate, you would click save. You can add other trade assurances as well. If you finished, you would click no. And it will show you then that there's one record in trade assurances, and it will mark it as completed. You can come back and add to these over time. So as you get new assurances, new qualifications, or as people become connected persons, you can change it and update it. The next section is on exclusions. You might be familiar with these if you've been bidding for public sector opportunities before. There are two types of exclusion. You would normally see them in the selection questionnaire. There's mandatory and discretionary exclusions. It does talk you through what they are, but it does also remind us that exclusions apply not only to the organisation, but they also apply to a person with significant control. That could be a director or a major shareholder, trustee, etc. So if any of the exclusions apply to a connected person, you must have already added them as a connected person. So it will run through a summary for you of what mandatory exclusions are. You can also click through to see more detail as defined in Schedule 6 of the Act itself. And the same with discretionary exclusions. It also gives you a summary of what a discretionary exclusion could be. But if you want further details, you can click through to Schedule 7 of the Act as well. And we'll click continue. So the first question is, do we have any exclusions to add for our organisation or a connected person? If the answer is no, we simply click no, and that is that completed. If the answer is yes, however, it will ask for more questions. So did it happen in the UK? Yes or no? If we click no, it will ask you which exclusion applies. If we click yes, it takes us to the same place. So which of these exclusions applies? We will just pick one at random and we'll click continue. It will ask us who this applies to. We've not added any people as connected persons, so it's only giving us an option of the business itself. So if the exclusion does apply to a connected person at this stage, you would need to link those two together. So if you haven't added them as a connected person, you would need to. So from that list, you would choose who the exclusion is around. So we'll enter an email address, likely to be the same one that you've been entering before. We'll describe the exclusion in more detail. Will also tell us how the exclusion is being managed. So has the fine been paid? Was there any compensation? What were the circumstances that caused it, and will prevent it from happening again, etc. So we'll provide an explanation in there also. If there's any supporting documents, we will add them there by uploading a file, or if there aren't, we'll simply click no and continue. Was the decision recorded on a public authority website? For example, the outcome of a court decision, if it was a conviction or any other event. If it's yes, we add the website. If it's no, we click no and continue. Have the circumstances that led to the exclusion ended? For example, a court decision for environmental misconduct led the organisation or the connected person to stop harming the environment. Have those remedies been completed? If yes, we would say when the circumstances ended. If no, we would click continue. It will summarise all of the information in there, and then if they are a true record, we would click save. For the purposes of this, we're going to say that there are no exclusions. So we're going to click that there are no applicable exclusions. And then the final part is the financial information. So what we'll need is accounts or statements of the organisation's most recent 2 financial years, or the most recent financial year if we don't have 2. If we don't have a full year of accounts, if we're a startup business, for example, we can upload a statement showing our organisation's financial standing, a cash flow statement, something like that, or a forecasted P&L or something of that ilk. We'll need to enter the financial year end date for any information that we do upload. So the first question is, were your accounts audited? For smaller organisations, generally speaking, they're not, but of course, depending on what organisation you are, they may or may not have been. Choose the one that's relevant for you. And then we'll be asked to upload our organisation's financial statements, whatever they may be. So I'll upload one for now, so 31st of March 2023, and I'll click continue and save. And I'm not going to add another file. So there's one record in there, and what I can see now from the supplier information system is that all of these are completed. And the next and final thing that I want to do is share my information. And if I click share information, what that will do is share information through the central digital platform. So what that means is we'll get a share code when we're bidding through the central digital platform to public procurement tender opportunities. The information that we've put into the supplier information system using our share code that we enter into a bid, it will pull all of that information through. So all of that information that we've just uploaded, we don't have to upload again. It will be pulled through automatically. And in the fullness of time, there will be more information that we're able to upload into the supplier information system as the central digital platform evolves, and so it is hopefully going to really help us reduce any duplicated effort in a tender so that we can focus on those bits that are specific to each individual procurement opportunity. So the final thing to do would be to create a share code. It will give you that share code on the screen. It will also record that share code in your account as well. And you will use that for any bids that you want to go for through the central digital platform. That was a brief tutorial for how to register for the central digital platform and upload your information to the supplier information system. We really hope that's been helpful. If you do need any further assistance, or if you have any questions on registration to the Central Digital Platform, please do feel free to get in touch at support@goforgrowth.co.uk. Thank you.